In Revenge of the Sith, Anakin Skywalker turned to the dark side to become Darth Vader, betraying his master Obi-Wan Kenobi and apprentice Ahsoka Tano. But what if Obi Wan and Ahsoka joined Anakin? After Order 66, Rex and Ahsoka escaped the onslaught of the clones and crashed their ship. Little is known about Ahsoka's movements after this in canon, but the first thing I think she would do is contact Obi-Wan to understand the situation. Kenobi answers Ahsoka's message and gives her details of what's happened, including Anakin's betrayal. Obi-Wan has just left the Jedi Temple and explains the horrors of what he's seen. He tells her to make her way to Mustafar, as they might be the last two people who can save Anakin from the dark path. Before we continue, just a quick shout out to the voice actors, the Shapeshifter and Nick Cortez. Their links are in the description. Obi-Wan sneaks onto Padme's ship and arrives on Mustafar. He exits the Nubian to Anakin's shock, who accuses his wife of conspiring with Obi-Wan to kill him and chokes her unconscious as she collapses to the floor. Obi-Wan stands in shock.
What are you doing, Anakin? This isn't you!
Don't be foolish, Obi-Wan. This has always been me, and the Jedi pushed me to the tipping point. They never trusted me. They were holding me back, afraid of my power.
The Jedi are your family, Anakin. Why?
My family? My family was back on Tatooine. My mother, whom the Jedi left to rot away in the life of slavery. The Jedi follow a path of ignorance. You were taught to ignore everything you have ever felt. The loss of your master, the death of your lover. And all for what? What good have the Jedi done? I know you desire more in life as I do. I'm more powerful than any Jedi has ever dreamed of. I am more powerful than the Chancellor. I can overthrow him. Join me, and we can destroy the Emperor and lead the galaxy down the correct path. Achieve what the Jedi could not.
Obi-Wan can't help but resonate with Anakin's words. It hit him deep to his core. His master, Satine. Maybe they were the Jedi's fault. He wonders if Anakin's right. He stops his circular motion.
Anakin, you're right. I've known the Jedi Order is arrogant and self-righteous for some time now, but I've tried to suppress those thoughts. But that's no longer something I can do. I will join you.
They grab Padme and begin heading towards her ship, as they sense another fighter into the atmosphere. It clicks for Obi-Wan, who tells Anakin it must be Ahsoka. Anakin's stunned. He didn't expect his Padawan to arrive, but realizes this is a good opportunity. Together, he and Kenobi can bring her to their side. She lands, exits her ship, and runs towards the Sith.
Masters, what's going on here?
I'm sorry, Ahsoka. It seems the plan has changed.
Ahsoka takes a step back as she senses the dark side in both of her friends.
What have you done?
We've chosen the correct path. Let me rephrase. The only path. Ahsoka, the state the galaxy is in right now is the fault of the Jedi. Their own arrogance and self-righteousness allowed Darth Sidious to rise to power and corrupt the Senate. You must see it.
Anakin puts his hand on Ahsoka's shoulder and speaks calmly.
Snips, the ways of the Jedi are wrong. Stealing children from the mother's arms, training them as emotionless warriors. All you've ever done is fight, young one. And for what? The Republic? The Jedi? The Jedi have never helped anyone in this galaxy. Only brought it to a state of war after war. But together, the three of us can save the Republic, rule at the top, and bring order to the galaxy.
Ahsoka stares deeply in her master's eyes.
I don't know, Master.
Think about it, Ahsoka. Together, with all of us aligned, we could save more people than the Jedi ever could with the empire that we create. We can bring true peace to the galaxy.
The dark side coming from Anakin is too strong. It begins affecting her thoughts. She feeds off the dark side and starts to realize that he's right. Everything that's happened is the Jedi's fault. But together, the three of them are unstoppable. They can drive the Republic into a new era.
I will join you, Master. What shall we do?
Together they head off towards Coruscant. Anakin contacts Sidious and tells him that Obi Wan and Ahsoka have joined them.
Good. my young apprentice. Return to the capital now. I sense Master Yoda is close by.
But this enrages Sidious. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are a tether to the light side. He must eliminate all of Anakin's past ties to the light side and Jedi. They have to be disposed of. The call ends and Anakin gives the two their first teaching of the dark side. He explains to fully engage the dark side, you must break away from the chains of your past, and the perfect opportunity has arisen. Together they will slay Master Yoda to symbolize their commitment to the dark and cleansing of the light. They nod in agreement and they arrive on Coruscant. They quickly drop off Padme at the closest hospital and head towards the Senate chambers. When they arrive, they see flashes of green and red. The sound of lightsabers clashing echoes through the chamber. They head towards the hall and jump into the center console, and the three stand beside Sidious, opposite Yoda. The look on the Grand Master's face is indescribable. He can sense the dark side leeching from the three former Jedi.
Kenobi, Ahsoka, John, what have you?
They've embraced the true nature of the Force. Now, Master Jedi, you will die!
Screams Sidious as the four jump towards Yoda. The Grand Master defends for as long as he can, but he stands no chance against these four. He manages to kick Sidious to the side, but Anakin grips him with the Force and squeezes him tight.
Do it now!
He yells as Ahsoka and Obi-Wan throw their lightsabers towards the Grand Master, ending his life. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka embrace their new power. They've finally broken free from the chains of the Jedi as their eyes turn a deep yellow. But Sidious looks at them in disgust. All his life, he's dreamed of being the one to kill Yoda, but they've stolen this from him. He begins to feel fear as he senses the power of those three. If they combine their strength together, they could overthrow him. He must put countermeasures in place. Sidious turns to face them.
This is it, the end of the Jedi. The Sith will rule the galaxy.
They all bear smiles on their faces, but the tension is evident. Anakin gets on one knee.
Master, before your next order, is it alright if we visit Padme? She suffered injuries on Mustafar, and I have to make sure she's okay.
Of course, Anakin. Return to my office once you've finished.
Sidious knows he can't oppose Anakin's wishes, not yet. The risk of them turning on him is too high. As they leave, Sidious contacts the Grand Inquisitor.
Grand Inquisitor, a new threat is upon us. The remnants of the Jedi Order. Collect all Inquisitors and bring them here on Coruscant.
And so it will be done.
Sidious was always scheming. He turned the Grand Inquisitor, former temple guard, to his side months ago, and for years, he's secretly been training Force sensitives in the dark side to become his own band of Jedi hunters. He'll need them in the upcoming fight. Anakin, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka head to check up on Padme. Whilst in their ship, Anakin tells them when the time is right. After he's helped him save Padme, they'll overthrow Darth Sidious and begin implementing their control of the galaxy. They arrive at the hospital, and the medical droid tells Anakin that Padme has begun labor. His eyes grew wide in shock. She wasn't due for another week. The events on Mustafar must have triggered the birth. He puts his hands on his head and fear consumes him. But on either side, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka put a hand on his shoulder.
Padme will not die tonight, Anakin. Together, the three of us can save her.
Your dreams will not become reality. I promise you, Master.
They get ready to use all their combined power to save Padme, but she gives birth to two twins, Luke and Leia, easily, with zero complications. They enter the room. Padme is drowsy after all the medication, but seeing those three together brings her joy. Anakin holds the two children with a smile on his face, looks at Ahsoka and Obi-Wan who share the same feelings. He hands the babies to the droid who follows up with their care, but Anakin's face begins to turn sour. Padme's birth was smooth. That wasn't meant to happen. Was his dreams all a lie? They couldn't be. The dreams of his mother all those years ago came true. The same should have happened this time. What was different? And it all clicked for Anakin.
I didn't need Palpatine's help. Padme was never going to die in childbirth. He knew about my dreams without me ever telling him. There's only one way that could be possible. He planted those dreams in your mind to deceive you. I've read the dark side technique for solution that makes such a thing possible. He did this to turn you to the dark side and aid in the death of the Jedi Order.
It's all a lie. What should we do, Master?
I thank Palpatine for what he's done. He opened up our eyes to the hypocrisy of the Jedi Council. But we no longer need him. It's time to end Lord Sidious.
They go to Palpatine's office and walk in as he's planning to make his speech in front of the Senate. As they enter, they notice many beings, none of them they've ever seen, all strong in the Force. Anakin's face curls. Sidious knew they were coming, and he's prepared. He looks at Obi Wan and Ahsoka and they sense the same. These dark side acolytes must have been trained by Sidious in the shadows, but now he's revealed them to show his might. Does he think this will deter him, the chosen one, destined to bring balance to the Force? If he does, then he's severely mistaken. Anakin throws his lightsaber into the chest of the closest acolyte, signaling the beginning of the battle.
Foolish boy. You really think you can defeat all of us?
I don't just think Sidious. I know for certain the Force has told me itself.
Sidious clenches his teeth and the fight begins. Anakin heads straight for Sidious, whilst Ahsoka and Obi-Wan deal with the acolytes. Their duel is fierce, lightsabers clashing at tremendous speeds. Sidious sends Anakin flying back with a kick and sends lightning towards him. He dodges by flipping over it and rushes towards the Sith Lord. Sidious blocks Anakin's forceful strikes and spins under to cut his hip, however it's not deep enough to be effective. Sidious is fast enough to keep up with Anakin, but his old age nonetheless is a weakness. Anakin de-ignites his lightsaber to catch Sidious's hilt in his left and sends a straight right punch to his neck. Sidious is forced to grab his neck as he chokes from the strike, but Anakin sends a left kick flush on his temple, forcing him to collapse to the ground. Anakin jumps on the Sith Lord, bombarding him with punches. Sidious makes one last desperate attempt and force pushes Anakin off him, but the Chosen One pulls Sidious towards him with greater force as he falls right onto Anakin's lightsaber. Sidious's body collapses to the floor as Anakin turns around to see half the Sith acolytes have been defeated. Anakin acts instantly with unfathomable speed, cuts the hands off the remaining acolytes who shriek in pain.
Listen here. Your master is dead. You have two choices. Join us in the hunt of the Jedi, or die.
Every acolyte drops to their knees and swears loyalty to Anakin. The pieces are beginning to be put in place. The Senate chamber is full. Mass Amida announces Emperor Palpatine's arrival, but in walks Anakin, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. Anakin takes the stage and talks to the entire Senate. He explains the situation.
Palpatine was an evil dictator. He had poor intentions for his empire. His rule would be clouded with pain and despair, not peace. However, we defeated him, and I will take his place as emperor. And together, alongside Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, we'll lead the empire and galaxy into a peaceful and prosperous future. Any system that does not comply will face the full power of the dark side and clone army.
Kenobi takes control of the Senate, and Anakin rushes back to the hospital to check on Padme. She's fully conscious now with their two children, but is shocked at what Anakin has done as she just watched the broadcast of his speech. He explains it was necessary, and together they will bring peace and order to the galaxy. But Padme tells Anakin she needs time to process, and he gives her this. But Anakin asks Ahsoka to go talk to her. Ahsoka and Padme have always had a close relationship and got along well. Padme began to resonate with their ideals after talking to Ahsoka. She explained how the Republic has always been corrupt and democracy has never truly been a thing. The only option left is to take control themselves and force their visions onto the galaxy. It took time, as Padme was a Democrat through and through, but slowly began to see this was the only option and joined Anakin by his side. The three begin to delve more into the dark side of the Force, and their power increases. Together alongside their acolytes, destroy all remaining Jedi and any seeds of rebellion that attempt to overthrow their power. Anakin and Padme have two more children, Baron and Alicia, who, alongside Luke and Leia, grow up to be extremely strong in the dark side of the Force. During one of her missions against the crime syndicates, Ahsoka met Lux Bonteri again, and the two fell in love and started their own family, having many children. Obi-Wan became obsessed with resurrecting the dead in order to save his long-lost love, Satine. But no matter how hard he and Anakin tried, it simply wasn't possible. Satine had been dead for too many years. Although their empire was harsh and stern, it created order and peace in the galaxy, and every system prospered. Famine reduced, equity was reached, and opportunity for all was at an equal. Obi-Wan took more of a political role in the Empire, controlling the Senate and dealing with galactic affairs, whereas Anakin was the military might, crushing rebellion and anyone who opposed them. Luke and Leia grow up to be strong Sith, almost the same level as their father. Together, the Skywalker family continues to expand, with Luke and Leia starting families of their own, and the Skywalker legacy has begun. Padme and Anakin's love remains strong and never falters. She's grown to love the man who saved the galaxy more and more, and can't imagine doing anything else. In Anakin's quest into the secrets of the dark side, he discovers Darth Plagueis' journal and manages to replicate and perfect the ability to control life and death. He's done it. Emperor Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Empress Ahsoka would lead the galaxy forward for eternity, now with the power over life and death. Their rule was absolute. No one could ever oppose them, and the galaxy was theirs. If you enjoyed the video, you have to watch What If Padme Was a Jedi or What If Palpatine Was a Jedi. If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a YouTube member for $1 a month, where you get sneak peeks on thumbnails and video ideas. It's greatly appreciated, and I'll see you all this weekend.